Hi.
Alright, hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're brand new here, my name is Nikki and this is my book nook, and today I just wanted to take a few minutes to sit down and talk to you guys about all of my thoughts on Funny Story by Emily Henry. Emily Henry's latest book. You guys know, if you've been watching me for a while, I have read every Emily Henry book. She's an auto-buy author for me at this point because I have just found that I've never not enjoyed something she's written. All of her books for me are an easy read. It's something that I always get through in like a day or two, and I just know that I'm not gonna be disappointed, you know? Even if it's like not my favorite book, I will always like it. So I'm always gonna be first in line to buy an Emily Henry book, and this one was no different. If you guys have been around, you definitely know. The first book I read by her was People We Meet on Vacation, which I absolutely loved. That was years ago at this point, but I still think about it all the time. That still to this day is my favorite Emily Henry book. So I was very excited to read this one because I always, like with auto-buy authors, I try not to look too far into their books before I read them because I love going in blind and having truly no idea. So I tried not to look into this one, but you kind of hear things, you know, through the grapevine. So what I did hear about it really intrigued me. I knew it was kind of like a fake dating story, but it seemed like it had like a fun little twist to it. So I was excited to get into it, and obviously I started reading it. Actually, to be quite honest, I listened to this book on audio because Julia Whalen narrated it. She's my favorite audiobook narrator. Literally every story she somehow makes 10 times better, even if it's already a great story. So I wanted to have that experience, and that is what I did, and she was flawless, as always. Just made the experience so good. But yeah, I started out reading Funny Story, and it hooked me right from the beginning. And I just want to say in this video, there will be some kind of light spoilers. I'm just gonna say there are spoilers because I don't want anyone to get mad if you haven't read this yet and you're looking for like an open, you know, review. No spoilers, that's not gonna be this. So maybe read it and come back. I will tell you, spoiler alert, I liked it. So maybe read it, then come back. But anyways, the book opens up and it follows Daphne, and something about this book is it truly just like jumped into things. I don't know the last time that I read a book where by page 3, you're like, okay, we're in the story. So like I said, it follows Daphne. She is a librarian. She's like in her late 20s, maybe early 30s. She's engaged to this guy named Peter. She's just like ready to start her life. She feels like she's in a good place, and Peter has always had this friend for a long time, since childhood, named Petra. They're very close, and you know, Daphne knows Petra, everything's cool, but they're getting married, and Peter is, when the story starts, away for the weekend on his bachelor party sort of weekend, and Petra is actually one of his groomsmen in a way, because they are so close. She's like his best friend, so she goes to the bachelor party, but Daphne does not because, you know, she's the bride. Basically, the very beginning of the story, first couple of pages, Peter comes home and basically is like, hi Daphne, so sorry. Something happened between me and Petra over the weekend. The wedding's off, I'm with her now, and you have to move out. So, again, right out the gate, things just get going because you're like, excuse me, we're about to get married and now you're telling me I don't have a home, we're not getting married. You're also dating your best friend that I've trusted you with all this time. So Peter and Petra leave. Daphne is there, and then Miles shows up. Miles shows up to the house. Miles is Petra's boyfriend, her longtime boyfriend. He shows up looking for Petra, and of course, you know, she has left. Daphne has to kind of confirm his suspicions. So now here the two of them are, and basically Miles, you know, lived with Petra. They had a second room in their apartment. Daphne is now out of a home. Both of them are in this grieving place of they just were completely blindsided and lost their boyfriends, girlfriends, partners, whatever. So Miles basically offers to let Daphne stay in his spare room in his apartment just for like, you know, a month or two until she can kind of figure things out, get a place to stay, and they can kind of just like wallow in their misery together. And Daphne agrees because she doesn't really have a lot of options, and you know, they're very different right off the bat. Like Miles kind of has this like interesting energy to him. He works at a restaurant, he works at like a wine bar actually, and he's very kind of easygoing and adventurous, and he's kind of like a pothead, and Daphne has lived this very like straight-laced life, you know, with Peter. Like they just were on a schedule, and every day they woke up and they like drank kale and went to the gym and they hiked, and they just like never really slowed down. They just always had like this image to keep up, and were just like super healthy and super conscious of everything. And she's not learned how to chill out, and it's like now she's with Miles, who's like the ultimate definition of chill. So she's figuring out her life, they're grieving, you know, she's working at the library, and the whole point of it really is like Daphne moved to this city to be with Peter. Like he was the only reason she was there. Her connection to everything besides her job is like through Peter. So she's kind of in a place where it's like, okay, I have to find a place to live. I think I just want to like move back home. Like I think I want to move back to the state that I'm from. I don't think I want to live here anymore. So she's figuring that out. But like, you know, I've said, her and Miles are going through it, and not long after she moves in, they kind of have a night where things take a turn for the worst. Basically, it's maybe a month or two later, not that long, they end up getting a little invitation in the mail, and it turns out Peter and Petra are now getting married. So they get invites in the mail to the wedding. This all happens so fast. Again, this story is just like bam, bam, out the gate. They get invites to this wedding. They both are like, oh my God, lose their minds, go get hammered drunk, and long story short, end up deciding, let's RSVP to the wedding. Like, you know, they're just asking us so they can be the bigger person. Like, let's RSVP, let's make them uncomfortable, let's go and let them pay for us to like have expensive food, and let's drink, and let's just have a great time and show them that like we don't care. And so in their drunken state, they both like RSVP. Next day, Daphne wakes up to Peter calling her and is like, I saw your RSVP, like I'm confused. And she's like, no, yeah, I'm coming. And he's like, well, I just like wouldn't want you to be there all by yourself, like this freaking jerk. And she's like, well, I won't be, because I'll be with my boyfriend. She's like hungover, half asleep, just blurts it out because she's embarrassed. And he's like, boyfriend? But you didn't, you know, you didn't put a +1 on your RSVP. Well, I don't have to, because he got his own invitation, because Miles is my boyfriend, and we're coming to the wedding together. So lo and behold now, Petra and Peter now think that their exes that they left for each other, Daphne and Miles, are now dating. So this is where the story really spurs off. You might think, okay, I just told you the entire story. No, that's like in the first couple of chapters. Like that is where this story begins. And I loved the beginning of this book. Like I was actually kind of doing a reading vlog when I was starting this book. And if you guys watched that, you'll see that I was like hooked. I was so excited. I thought the concept was so interesting. This idea of like the exes of this couple, that because a lot of times you read stories of like, you know, people that are with the wrong people, and then you see them get together and like that's the story you're following. But it's always like, what happens to the exes? Like what happens to the people that get left in the dust? So it was kind of fun to see that in this story. And I love a fake dating story, and so I had a fun little twist to it. So I was like, this might be my new favorite Emily Henry book. Like I just have a feeling about it, and I was really excited, and I did like it. But I have to say, like, this book is not what I thought it was going to be, and that happened to me like 3 different times. Like I kind of thought it was going to be one way, and then it kind of shifted and it was another way, and then by the end I was like, oh, okay. I think the beginning was really strong, and then, you know, I liked it the whole way through. I really did. But towards the middle, for me, it got a little slow. Like basically what kind of ends up happening, you know, in this story is, yes, like they're agreeing that they're gonna go to this wedding together. They're fake dating. Like they're trying to show, you know, they're posting some pictures on social media to show Peter and Petra that like they don't care, they're having a good time. But on top of that, really, like Miles and Daphne just kind of form this like really good friendship. And, you know, she's talking to him about how she's like planning to move away and like get a job at a library somewhere else and kind of move back home with her, you know, where her mom lives. And he's like, you can't do that, you know, like don't let Peter run you out of town. Like he's the reason you came here. Don't let him be the reason that you left. And she's like, but like what else is here for me? And he's like, you need to find like what else is here for you. And he basically offers to show her. He's like, every weekend, you know, let's like go on an adventure. Like let me make you fall in love with this city, basically. So we see a lot of that. We see a lot of like them hanging out. You also just kind of, I don't know, it's like romance is a part of the story. It's a big part of the story, but I think so much of it was really a focus on like Daphne as a character, and just the idea of being a woman and kind of losing your identity a little bit in a male partner, and how you kind of get out of that and learn to be your own person and learn to live for yourself and have a good time. Like that was really a big part of it. So it's like her making really good friends with this girl that works at the library that she's worked with all these years but just never took the time to hang out with. And, you know, they start hanging out. She's super funny. That's like a whole part of the story. And, you know, she's doing things with Miles. She's kind of just like falling in love with life, like gaining some confidence. And pretty quickly, like things kind of happen with them, you know? It's it's not too far in that it's like very obvious that there's chemistry there, but you know, there's some awkwardness. They live together, like this is crazy, we can't do this. So for me, I usually prefer a little more of a slow burn. I don't feel like I minded it as much that like physical things started happening with them, but I don't know, I feel like there was this kind of weird part in the middle where they were at a bit of a stalemate, where it's like things had happened between them, but they're both like, okay, but we can't. So then it's like they were kind of just like awkwardly dancing around each other for a while, and that middle just got a little dry for me. Also, a big part of the story that came in was like Daphne's relationship with her father, and that's a big part of the story too, is just like relationships with your parents and like how trauma from that can like seriously affect the relationships that you will have later in your life, and like how you love and how you sort of like function in a relationship, because both Miles and her had like major family issues. So that's something that they also kind of bond over and like work through together, and that's a really big part of it. But yeah, that's really the whole story. It's funny, like, again, I don't want to say everything on here. I guess I kind of already did, so it's like, what's the point? But that's kind of how I felt a little bit about the story. It was a bit like, what was the point by the end of it? You know, I mean, it was a good time, it was enjoyable, but I've kind of felt this way about the last couple of Emily Henry books, that it never felt like there was a really solid plot. Like, it never felt like she really found her footing in telling like a really, not that every book has to be that way, but I don't know, you know what I mean? Sometimes you're just reading a story and you're like, okay, at least there's something, like some sort of path we're following here, like we can veer off, whatever. But something about this story felt a little like a train of thought or a train of consciousness, and just like going along with it. And in some ways that's cool, I guess, because it feels very real. But yeah, I think I expected more out of the like fake dating element of the story. I think, guys, there is a hair in my eye and I'm just like gonna ignore it because I'm on a roll here. I think I expected a little bit more out of the like fake dating aspect of the story. And you know, a big part of it is that they're supposed to go to this wedding, and I got it. I got the hair. A big part of it is they're supposed to go to this wedding, and you know, we never really get to see that. That doesn't really happen. And the fake dating only is like sprinkled in there. It's really not, I just think I thought it was gonna be such a central part of the story, and that's not really what it is, which is fine. But yeah, I don't know, it's hard for me. Like when I read it so fast that I was like, oh, I liked this, like I really liked it. And then towards the end I was like, okay, it was really pretty good. But I feel like as time has gone on and I've talked to some people about it, like, okay, it was a little boring, like it was a little lacking, and that's okay. No, not every book is gonna be a total 5 stars. I definitely did like it, but when it like ranks among the other Emily Henry books, I don't know. I really liked Miles as a main character, like the male main character. He was so smooth, he was so sweet. Like he was kind of like everything you want, and I really liked that. And I liked how this book really focused on, I feel like Happy Place did that too. There's a lot of focus on like just womanhood and, you know, what goes into being a woman and the things that we go through, and just navigating life and love and balancing, you know, being your own person but also being with someone else. And so I did like that aspect of it, but overall it was okay for me, you know? I think it was like maybe a 4 star, maybe like a 3.75. That sounds really low because I promise I liked it, but, and I don't like star ratings anyways because I'm like, you gotta, there's way more info. I hate just like slapping a star on it. But yeah, guys, that's how I felt. Kind of a wishy-washy review out of me, but I owe it to you because I've reviewed all of Emily Henry's books at this point, and I feel like my current ranking, you guys know, like People We've Been on Vacation it's still my favorite for sure. I'm like, I feel like I need to reread it because it's been so many years. I'm like, would it hit the same if I read it again? Like maybe I just built it up in my head, but I swear I loved it. So that one's still top for me. Bottom for me still is Beach Read, which is such a hot take, and every single time I say that I fear for my life because people love Beach Read. It wasn't for me. Which honestly, I feel like the aspects of this book that I didn't love coincide with Beach Read. Like in Beach Read, whenever January and Gus were like doing their little dates that they had together, where it's like, oh, we're gonna go on adventures, like I feel like that was kind of just like this book, where it's like, okay, cool, like a bunch of scenes of us like going and doing things, but like where is it leading, you know, like what's this adding to the story? Like it kind of felt similar, so I think that's maybe why I kind of didn't like it a little bit. But yeah, Beach Read's on the bottom for me. Second favorite, probably Book Lovers. I liked Happy Place. I don't know, probably Book Lovers second, and then I'd probably go Happy Place. This is probably 4, 3 or 4, I don't know. Sorry. I didn't do it very good. Good job ranking, but as you can tell, like I said, I don't have a super strong opinion on it either way. But yeah, guys, I would love to hear all of your thoughts about this book if you read it. I would love to hear your Emily Henry ranking, as long as you're not yelling at me for mine. And yeah, that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye.